Everyone told them the golden retriever was becoming possessive. They agreed with everyone. They almost made the one decision that couldn't be undone. It started on a Tuesday. Not with anything dramatic. Not with a growl or a lunge or the kind of behavior that makes a decision easy. It started with Bailey lying in the hallway outside Poppy's bedroom door and refusing to move when her father tried to step over him. Bailey was 5 years old, 74 pounds, a golden retriever who had spent his whole life being described with the same word: gentle. The dog who let Poppy sit on his back at 14 months. The dog who let her pull his ears and put her fingers in his mouth and fall asleep using his flank as a pillow. He had never once reacted to anything she did with anything other than patience. So when he lay down in the hallway at 7:40 on a Tuesday morning and pressed his full body against the baseboard and would not move, not for Marcus's foot, not for a treat, not for his name called twice from the kitchen, Marcus filed it as odd and stepped over him. That detail would matter. He didn't know that yet. Poppy was 26 months old. She woke up fussy that Tuesday the way she sometimes did. Clingy and hard to settle. Wanting to be held and then wanting to be put down and then wanting to be held again. Nothing unusual enough to name. Marcus made her oatmeal. She ate 6 bites and pushed the bowl away. He didn't think much of it. Kids had off mornings. By 9:30, Bailey had moved from the hallway to the living room. He was lying directly in Poppy's path between the play area and the kitchen. When she walked toward him, he didn't roll over the way he usually did. He lifted his head and pressed his nose against her leg. Slowly. Like he was reading something. Marcus's wife, Deandra, was an ER registration coordinator. She'd worked hospital intake for 9 years. She didn't have clinical training, but she had seen enough to know what an animal fixating on a person looked like. And she had heard the stories. She said it to Marcus at lunch, quietly while Poppy napped. He's been staring at her all morning. Not playing. Staring. Marcus said maybe he sensed she wasn't feeling well. Dogs did that. Deandra said she wasn't sure that was all it was. By afternoon, Bailey's behavior had shifted again. He had stopped lying in Poppy's path and started following her, not playing. Following, 3 feet behind her through every room. When Poppy sat down on the playmat, he circled the mat twice and lay down beside her, with his chin on his paws, his eyes tracking her face. Poppy kept trying to get him to play fetch. He wouldn't take the ball from her hand. That night, Deandra's sister called. Deandra described what was happening. Her sister said, "That's resource guarding, Dee. That's a dog that's decided the kid is his property. You need to separate them before something happens. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one." She wasn't wrong to say it. That's what it looked like. That's what anyone would have said. They put Bailey in the mudroom that evening with his bed and his bowl and the old blanket from the laundry room shelf. He didn't bark. He lay down and watched the door. Deandra checked on him at 10 o'clock and he was still watching it. At 1:17 in the morning, Poppy began to cry. Not the bright, escalating cry of a nightmare. Something quieter. Something that came in waves. Deandra was up before Marcus, in Poppy's room before the monitor had registered 2 seconds. The nightlight was on. Poppy was sitting up in the crib, both hands pressed against the mattress, making a sound that was not distress exactly, but was not right. Deandra touched her face. Her skin was wrong. Not fever hot, but different. Her eyes were tracking, but slowly. Her grip when Deandra lifted her was loose in the wrong places. She had been a hospital intake coordinator for 9 years. She had logged the paperwork for enough pediatric emergencies to know the difference between a sick child and a child who needed to be somewhere else immediately. She woke Marcus. She didn't explain. She just said, "Something's wrong. We go now." At the children's hospital, the attending physician, Dr. Anaya Mehta, pediatric neurology, 7 years at that hospital, reviewed Poppy's presentation and ordered a panel within 12 minutes of intake. The EEG showed subclinical seizure activity. Small, silent, the kind that doesn't present with convulsions or dramatics but suppresses cognition and regulation quietly from the inside. Absent seizure disorder, early presentation, the fussiness, the 6 bites of oatmeal, the clinginess that couldn't be settled, the eyes that tracked slowly at 1:17 in the morning. Dr. Mehta said, "Your daughter's been having subclinical episodes. They're small and fast. No external indicators the average person would catch." She looked at Deandra. "What made you come in tonight?" Deandra told her about the way Poppy's grip felt. About the skin. About the eyes. Dr. Mehta said, "You made the right call within a very narrow window." Then she said something else. She said, "The episodes we're seeing on this EEG suggest this has been building for several days. Has anything in your household changed recently? Any animal behavior that seemed off?" Deandra looked at Marcus. "Has your dog ever done something that made no sense? Until it was the only thing that made sense. Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard." The veterinary behaviorist they consulted 3 weeks later, Dr. Priya Anand, Canine Olfactory Research, explained what Bailey had been doing in language that reordered everything. Absence. Seizures alter neurochemical activity in the brain. That activity produces metabolic byproducts. Specific volatile compounds that appear on the breath and skin and change measurably as episodes build in frequency. A dog with an intact olfactory system registers those compounds at concentrations human perception cannot reach. Bailey had been detecting Poppy's subclinical seizure activity building over days. The circling. The following. The chin on his paws watching her face. The nose pressed against her leg at 9:30 in the morning. He was not guarding, he was monitoring. He had been trying, in the only language available to him, to tell them that the number was moving in the wrong direction. The mudroom door he sat behind all night. He knew something was happening in that house that he could not stop from where they had put him. Poppy's disorder is managed now. The medication is calibrated. The episodes are controlled. There is a neurologist who knows her name, and a care plan that takes 12 months to complete, and then another 12. She is 30 months old, and she has a favorite color, yellow, and a favorite song, the one Marcus sings badly on purpose to make her laugh, and a golden retriever who sleeps at the foot of her bed and has never once in his life been described as anything other than gentle. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. He still follows her through every room. They don't correct him anymore. Some nights the pattern on his path through the house changes. Quicker, closer, more deliberate. And Deandra checks the app on her phone that connects to Poppy's monitoring device. Most of those nights the number has shifted. Just slightly. Just enough. Most of those nights Bailey already knew. Tomorrow. The night a husky broke through a laundry room wall. And what the fire investigator found inside it.